Hello, friends. Welcome to Conversations with Deepak. Home improvement is the buzzword today. Not a day passes when you don't listen to discussions on the home improvement industry, discussions where leaders talk about their visions for the future of this industry. Interestingly, everyone is claiming to be in the home improvement industry, whether they are from bathroom fittings or sanitary ware or flooring or hardware, paints, wall coverings, whatever have you. See, home improvement is not limited to interior design as we know it in the conventional sense. It is in fact considered a more than 2 lakh crore industry where products account for about 70% and services for the remaining 30%. So whatever sector you may be in, as long as you are contributing to the improvement of the interior or exterior of the home, you are connected with home improvement. Now, this is a unique macro view, a view that has emerged very recently, just a few years ago. And once you start viewing your business through the prism of home improvement and not just plumbing or flooring or painting, you begin to see greater opportunities and you begin to see more scope for innovation and creativity. My guest today is going to be talking about this exciting industry called home improvement, how it is developing, what opportunities are coming up, what are the expectations of the customer, and what are the new metrics for measuring customer delight. My guest is the founder of a home improvement enterprise that is powered by technology. By applying technology, this young company has positioned itself as amongst the world's finest enterprises that are improving and redeveloping homes and offices across the world. And so powerful is this proposition of my guest that they have been attracting investments from some of the sharpest investors across the world. In fact, they have already received nearly 200 million in investment. That's a humongous 1,500 crore. Friends, my guest is Anuj Srivastava, the founder and CEO of Livspace. Hello, Anuj. Welcome to Conversations with Deepak.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deepak sir, for inviting me over. It's always a pleasure talking to you and getting to meet everybody here. This time, obviously online, but look forward to catching up in person as well.
So, Anuj, thank you for joining us. And you are based in Singapore currently, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So, Anuj, from what I read about you and your past experiences, you have been a technology person. You have spent a number of years at Google
Correct.
developing some of their, marquee products and concepts like AdSense and AdWords and Google Wallet and other business products. So, what got you into the home improvement space in the first place?
Yeah, it's quite a mystery correlation. So, and firstly, thank you for such a kind introduction. And of course, great to be here. Um, I mean, I think if you step back, the choice to be sort of in this sector obviously is predicated by the choice to become an entrepreneur in the first case, right? So I think all of you guys, many of you here, have, of course, significantly more years of experience than actually I do in running companies. What my co-founder RK and I and my team, Saurabh and all of us, what we actually understand is how technology has transformative potential in re-architecting complex value chains, right? So actually, to cut the long story short, partly personal experiences. I have had the fortune of having a couple houses outside India. I left India when I was still, I graduated from IIT and left early. Worked in Google for most of my professional life in in the Bay Area and in New York. Had the chance to actually design and renovate a couple homes in the US and in the UK. My co-founder was undergoing a similar experience. I think he was remodeling his kitchen in Bangalore. And so partially life I think, brought us to a situation wherein we experienced this industry. And I think we were both very intrigued. We were friends from IIT Kanpur. And partly, I think we were very intrigued because whether it was America or it was India, both of us ended up actually having a rather unpleasant experience, right? And, we started thinking, why does this industry, which is arguably, as some say, like about $1 trillion worldwide, and I think it's about, and I think you were mentioning a very large number, some say about almost 25 to $30 billion in our parts of the world. Um, why does this industry, which is so large, doesn't have really one name, that I can remember it by? And so, and we started digging in and kind of got intrigued, and we thought about a variety of ways to enter the
In
market.
parts of the world. Um, why does this industry, which is so large, doesn't have really one name, that I can remember it by? And so, and we started digging in and kind of got intrigued, and we thought about a variety of ways to enter the market in parts of the world.
And there's some feedback, Deepak. Is that okay now? Yeah, probably okay now. And I think when we started looking at it, our single point understanding about the industry was that it's really the supply chain, like many other complex industries, that needs to be articulated. And the supply chain for this industry in particular, aggregates materials and labor and services and so forth and so on, right? Components and whatnot. And, like gleeful product managers and early entrepreneurs, we got excited about this market, of course, without, between you and me, understanding the mega complexity that awaits us. But I think sometimes when you think very simply about ideas, and break them down, you can actually think purely. And I think I can still draw back to our 2050, 16 days. The 2 or 3 very good calls that we actually took was really what actually got us even more excited. And that's probably largely the reason why we continue to be growing so quickly. And I think, luckily and very fortunately attract the interest of all these amazing investors, is because we thought the first thing that needs to be solved is the definition of that platform, a technology platform that can actually bring forth vendors, OEMs, brands, smallest of contractors, contracting manufacturers, all on the same platform, and create a cloud catalog that actually can operate like the speed and the selection of fashion, right? That's how we actually literally thought about it, right? So because we come from from the world of e-commerce, our take was that providing selection is important, because customers, as they move more and more to the online world, it is very important for us to allow them the chance to actually select. That's one. It's a tenet. That's why Amazon still keeps building selection. It's logical. People will end up buying more people will come to you. You can ultimately solve more problems. We did that, but our realization was that there is some expert in the middle, whether it's a designer or a studio or a contractor, somebody who actually knows a lot more than the actual consumer. That person actually creates the ultimate solution for them, right? Whether it's a visual solution on paper, it's a visual solution through a visualization tool, so forth and so on, and ultimately then selects the materials and the services that are needed to provide that experience. You need to make sure that there is a deep technology layer that is created for the person in the middle. In our case, it's a design seller, right? And these are designers who actually spend anywhere from 2 to 5 years in the industry. But when they actually onboard our platform, there's a full suite that is available to them. So whether it's managing customers, managing payments, very deep, rich visualization tools which are linked to the catalog, and the ability to place purchase orders and take it all the way to providing the ultimate consumer experience. Creating these 3 things for us was a principal business choice that we took, right? And there are 2 things that you can do. You can be a platform player, or you can be a private label. You can't be both. So people who can be platform players will ultimately build multiple private labels. And the strategy that we actually took was really the one that came to our fruition. So today, Livspace actually, I think, aggregates anywhere about 12 to 15,000 people of various types, ranging from the simplest installers to design partners to vendors, contractors. We are today operating in India and Southeast Asia, as all of you know, very kind. We are the largest players in the space. We are the largest sort of interiors innovation, sort of platform experience brand in the space. What the world doesn't know, very clearly, is that as part of the turnkey experience that we provide, we actually also ship the largest number of kitchen and wardrobes of an online platform known, right? We haven't articulated this entire experience through a private label solution, obviously, and that's what we will talk about today. But even as part of the overall experience, we actually do ship the maximum number of kitchens, wardrobes, closets, storage units, and so forth and so on. Now, the ability for you to actually very quickly create a private label instance that can provide just the kitchen and wardrobe solution might actually be very, very hard for another private label. For us, it's a matter of business choice. Because you have the platform, and the platform actually has the capabilities, for you, it is just a question of identifying the range, articulating it like a private label, creating a standard operating procedure around it. All of these things are technology enabled. And that actually provides the personalization which the e-commerce customer needs, the precision that you actually need in this industry, because there are 1,000 components and that are changing hands across 8 different type of people in an experience that sometimes can span from the first visit all the way to installation by several months, right? And you want to make sure that each of these components that are interrelated are actually able to reach a customer's home precisely. So precision can only be guaranteed by a platform approach at the scale and the variety that we want to enable for the industry. So in not so short a way, I think it was the vision which was very, very compelling, Deepak sir. And we, like entrepreneurs that actually see and don't really get distracted, we actually went about building a business, and it became big, as on the sideline, of course.
So it's what you are applying now. A lot of that you have perhaps imbibed during your Google days, because Google itself is a huge platform.
Yeah, so that's a very, very insightful thing that you said. Actually, Google, less known, Google is probably the best platform company in the world. They actually think like that. So using technology platforms to actually bring together complex participants in a value chain such that everybody's happy, because nobody actually has any economic reasons to stay in a platform. We are very lucky that our contract manufacturing partners, our OEM partners, our design partners, obviously consumers, all of them are choosing to come to this managed marketplace, which is sitting on this deep technology, and are actually choosing to earn an income, make more money, make more margin. They actually don't have any reason to stick to that platform. Googles of the world actually really enable that experience, right? They create natural advantages for people to actually earn an income, get a great experience, get their business, make more margin, make more money. You're right in that. So a lot of the founding principles really, Saurabh, Rohit, RK, me, all of us in our experience, that's the workshop that we got trained in, Deepak sir. That's all that we knew. Right?
So if we were to look at the industry per se, where you have all invested your efforts and your vision and your knowledge, home improvement.
Correct.
What's so special about home improvement that it's attracting so much investment?
Right. So I'll tell you. So two things. Firstly, generally, of course, for that matter, any internet segment, why does it attract investment? Is because there are two or three large things that are happening. Firstly, obviously, everybody cares about addressable market. The addressable market for the home improvement segment is mega large, right? So it's very, very, very large. I think nobody actually is in any doubt that the market ranges from $100 billion in Asia, which is like my addressable market, to $1 trillion worldwide. The US is about $400 billion. India, about 15 to 18, $19 billion in that range. Very large markets. The number one thing about this market is that 99% of this is unorganized. Most of this is people purchasing in stores or from dealers, distributors, and on-site fabrication, right? So the level of under-organized and unorganized activity that happens in this segment is very, very large. So very large market, exceedingly fragmented. So you can argue that there is an aggregator approach that could work in this industry. The two or three things that are also interesting is that there is a dire lack of brands in this space, right? So you have the ability to actually provide specific experiences, whether it's a solution brand like us, it's an aggregator brand, or it's a private label brand. There are many others in the market. There is an opportunity for people to actually architect their segments and grow in margin over that. The tricky thing, Deepak sir, is the fact that for our segment, it's crucial to understand that will markets move at the speed that they moved in fashion, e-commerce, grocery, and so forth and so on, from the under-organized world, the unorganized world, to the organized world. And I kid you not, that is really what took everybody by surprise, right? Because when we actually built the company, we were actually I think we were the latest entrant. We still are the youngest from the chronological perspective of company launches, right? And we took a bet we didn't go to furniture and decoration. We chose not to be a private label. We chose to not do kitchen and wardrobe at that point in time. We chose to build a platform, do the most complex things first, right? Because the choice that we made really helped build the company because we needed to do all of the things that we did to solve that problem. I think the principal thing that none of us understood at that point in time was the movement that markets are large, you can make margins, everything is cool, but will the consumer trust an online first experience and actually entrust such a big responsibility to them? I think that's really what happened. And I think, I think luckily we were maybe the pioneers in some of those approaches. But I think now that there's proven that the market, I kid you not, is moving at a significant pace right now. Like we are almost back to our pre-COVID business, and the market's really opened in July. So the company is already operating at somewhere around our January, February levels, which is amazing because I kid you not, when the markets closed down in May and June, and all of us were in the non-essential categories, I don't think anybody of us knew. So the market is probably attracting this much amount of capital because it's large. There is an opportunity to actually deliver efficient unit economics, build brands. But very importantly, I think there's something happening because of which consumers are now trusting digitally native brands first to actually provide the right kind of experience. Trust is moving online. That's what's happening.
You have mentioned that besides Singapore, you are also operating or will be operating in Southeast Asian markets,
Correct.
in
Yes.
Indonesia and Australia.
Correct.
And
Yes.
you also have ambitions to be present in the Middle East.
Yes. And Australia.
And Australia. So, and out of these, you're already present in Singapore.
So we launched Singapore, and I'm glad you asked me that. So we are, of course, so our lots of our OEM relationships obviously span borders, so they're international in their very nature. The first thing we actually started working on, and actually Saurabh is leading that project, is the extension and the establishment of our supply chain in Southeast Asia. And we've been working on that for a while, even before we actually formally launched in Singapore. And we're building the supply chain now, and between India and Southeast Asia, we can pretty much service the markets that I actually talked about, right? So that effort has obviously been on in parallel for some time. Singapore is very interesting, right? It's like why we chose Singapore is not because I just lived here. Yeah, it's a coincidence actually. But when we started looking at markets outside India, and all this work started happening around 2018, we were looking for very similar characteristics, which is large addressable markets, a digitally native population, which is now, there's meaningful movement towards online behavior, a large fragmentation, absence of brands, which means 99% of money actually goes to contractors and very small studios. So there's a way for us to actually make money in this market. And you can serve the market. Your value proposition is differentiated. I kid you not, it was that simple. I mean, and on all of these grounds, Singapore was like, check, 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 check. So while it might be the most organized country, I think probably on the planet, for our industry, this again is, I kid you not, as chaotic as a Bombay or a Bangalore, right? So if Singapore is that chaotic, you can argue that multiple cities and most cities on the planet, as long as we can serve them and they actually have the same fragmentation, should ideally logically serve to be addressable markets for what we are trying to do.
So you said that many of your vendor partners
G.
are able to service or will be able to service these markets as well.
Yeah, so I think and partly I think, the whole sort of story around Neo is that Neo is ultimately the platform. What it does is that it links an inspirational picture on the web all the way to the raw material, right? And there are multiple handshakes that happen in between. And the platform is stitching this entire experience and creating a communication layer for the participants, whether it's the vendor or the designer and the customer, and creates like a payment infrastructure on the cloud. So consumers pay us, we collect based on some SOP, we give the payment to the vendors, to the contractors, to so forth and so on. So there's a significant amount of technology that's already built in there. Now, the interesting thing is that because we've actually already architected this, and the platform is facilitated such that we can, I kid you not, we can manufacture the carcass, the skeleton in one contract manufacturing factory. We can actually do shutters absolutely anywhere else. And we can assemble and fabricate this thing in a warehouse location somewhere else. Because this thing is all built in such a parametric manner, our ability to actually create stuff in India or Malaysia and to ship it here and there is all possible now. It wouldn't have been possible if the technology wasn't there, right? So we are excited because we are actually in the process of evaluating. Of course, Singapore is such a resounding success. In 8 months, so we launched in Singapore in October, and we are already the largest provider of what we do in Singapore in and this COVID has also come in between, right? So, and we're looking at markets like Kuala Lumpur because our Malaysian supply chain can actually extend very easily. I'm actually, as you speak, evaluating between Bangkok and Jakarta, and Philippines and Vietnam are also sort of looking interesting. All of this is happening now because your technology talks to the raw material, layer. A lot of our raw material, partners are actually all the same, so that's kind of easy to translate. Factories, in a way, tend to think of it like Deepak says, they're like converters, they're contract manufacturers, right? So our contract manufacturers, because of being on our platform, actually experience very high degree of utilization. So we operate under a sort of a business guarantee of sorts, and we obviously want to make sure that the natural course of the business is helping them make appropriate business and margin and so forth and so on. And the idea really is to build deep relationships, right? But once when we do, then we will just expand in the order of business scale. So there's no reason why our contract manufacturers who are located in India couldn't potentially participate in fulfilling demand one way or the other in multiple markets as well. Right?
So this was the product side or the material side.
Ji.
But what about the design side? Do you think the Indian design talent can be applied to service your overseas markets?
Oh yeah, absolutely, right. So I think that's the beauty of the platform. So what Neo does really well is, see, the experience really starts from designs that we may have pre-created right off on the platform. The selection that we actually have helps us ensure that, right? So now nobody comes to the web, discovers a picture, and wants exactly that thing, but as long as you're actually able to provide them an opportunity to customize them to their choices and fulfill it to that level of precision and predictability, then you've solved the problem. So there is a lot of intelligence, Deepak sir, that goes into us creating that personalization layer, right? So I'll tell you, before we entered Singapore, we actually had all the floor plans for Singapore in our systems. We had already created a few hundred, kitchen interior design and so forth and so on ideas that were all available, all out of some research that we would have done in the market. Now, all of these things were actually coming from our own catalog, right? Now, if you create like 1,000 ideas and you give it to designers and customers, and it's actually meaningful and relevant to them, they will exhibit the right behavior, right? That's how the online world works, right? So the personalization is an extremely critical choice for us, right? What content do we choose to show to customers and publish to designers? So a lot of time, actually designers are working on a significant amount of online preferences that may have already come to them into our platform, right? So along with the lead, there is a significant amount of information and design choices and preferences that the customer has already told them, right? So it's a great starting point for the designer. The designer can start off with the suggestion that the platform is making to them, or they can say, I want to do something on my own, right? And we have 3D tools and 2D planning and so forth and so on, 3D rendering and all that. It's all built into the same platform. The designer in a conversation with the customer can actually lock the final order. And it's a completely remote process right now, which we already had for several years. So roughly about 70 to 75% of all the orders that actually go into a system are actually today happening on a remote basis. Right? So now, once when you lock everything, because everything is now coming from a deeply integrated supply chain of our system, you can pretty much mass customize it to glory be. So that's pretty much the only way you can provide the exact thing that the customer wants, still provide the flexibility to the designer, not waste their time, and make sure that in such a complex setup, you're still able to actually service the customer at the SLA that you promised them. Right?
So you've actually done what Amazon has done to simple sale and delivery. That every step the product takes, the customer is informed. Your product is here, it will be delivered at this hour.
Or meaningful milestones, people like, so you may, and the system can customize that specific customer communication SOP. But I think Saurabh says it like really well. He says like kitchens at the speed of fashion, right? Which is exactly the transformation that fashion e-commerce happened. Can we actually bring the same transformation to the world of interiors and modular furniture? And that's sort of what we are providing, but a very similar experience.
Your partner Ramakant has
Correct.
said that we are excited to meet customer expectations of personalization, predictability, and quality.
Correct.
So you are placing great emphasis on these three constructs: personalization, predictability, and quality.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the significance of these variables in this business?
So I think personalization, and I'll probably define them. It makes sort of sense then. Personalization is interesting because personal preferences are unique, sites are unique, layouts are unique, site conditions are unique, right? Now, imagine providing a fitted furniture at scale that works for you, but is able to make sure that all of these things are included, right? So throughout the entire experience, your ability to actually provide content that you like, which is built off our catalog, and you can play with the content, quote unquote, interact and indicate your preferences and enter into a handshake with us. So that's first. So we do a lot of effort on digital marketing, social marketing, AI, all those kind of things to make sure that we can um, understand customer preferences very, very clearly before we actually automatically assign a designer to them. The ability for our platform to recommend personalized design choices to the designer based on what the customer told. Obviously, you're continuously monitoring who's the best quality designer. So our ability to make sure that the customer actually gets the designer that actually has the highest rating in our platform is very important for us. So the more you can turn around the time for the designer who's actually overperforming and outperforming is a great idea, because then that match happens. So personalization, but how do you actually enable it at scale is an exceedingly important choice that we make. But throughout the designing process, whether it's the layout measurement, the site validation, the ultimate final installation, and making sure that people who are doing these three specific site related process, and how do you make sure that all of this information is available in the order process? How do you make sure that the installer that is on the site has the required training information, very importantly, the fillers, et cetera, to make sure that the ultimate experience comes to fruition? That is pretty much what the platform provides, right? So that is personalization. Precision and predictability are sort of kind of correlated, and the overall experience, as I just described, exchanges multiple hands. And that's what RK is trying to say. It's like from the consumer to the designer to the project manager to the contract manufacturer to in the warehouse to the installer, there are 6 to 7, 8 people already. You have anywhere from a few hundred to 1,000 components. Things can go wrong. Our supply chain today actually works at 4 sigma. We're still on 6 sigma. So more than 99% of time, everything actually goes exceedingly well, which is amazing. But for the point some percent time that you may actually undership or you wrong ship, how do you make sure that you've actually created a returnable supply chain system to ensure that there is predictability that happens in the experience and there is precision that is built in, right? So data monitoring, data interchange, data exchange is an exceedingly, and order at the order level, is an extremely crucial tenet of the platform. And that is largely what he's trying to say. And the thing that Deepak said, you mentioned, now all of this information is available, but you as a platform have to make the choice of what to communicate to the customer, when to communicate to the customer, how many times you need to communicate all of these to the customers. In the absence of a technology driven platform at the scale that we operate, it is impossible. So that's what RK was actually trying to communicate.
So, if we were to look at the customer journey,
Ji.
when he or she wants to deal with Livspace, how does it start? Could you just describe the journey for the?
Yeah, absolutely. So 95% of our consumers still come to us through online channels. On a monthly basis, just to give you a sense of scale, a few million unique visitors come to our web and social destinations every month. Between the markets that we operate, we get anywhere from 35, 40 to 50,000 leads, massive amount of business. Now, we don't serve all of them, obviously, right? So a qualified sliver of that is what actually goes into our sales systems. Each of these leads, Deepak sir, comes with a lot of information. So these customers actually go through a self-qualification process wherein they tell us about the nature of their project, budgets that they have, the scope that they want to anticipate. And Livspace effectively, after the launch of this business unit that we're talking about, can actually fulfill both new home interiors and turnkey home interiors, which was our classic business, sort of in the the 8 to sort of 15 lakh segment. And that's one, which is where we built the business. But the business unit that we're actually now announcing and launching, which is our sort of modular furniture, kitchen and wardrobe fit out business, which is largely 3 to 8 lakh sort of experience, the classic woodworking, sort of range. People, through the interaction of content on our website, right, and information that they tell us, actually reveal a lot. They tell you a lot, in a privacy sensitive setting. All of that information is utilized to actually give them access to the best possible designer. right? We are continuously monitoring our designers' capability, their their time availability, their ratings on the system. So the matching in the system happens automatically. So the consumer gets the best designer. The designer utilizes our systems, which is the ability for them to actually either use a design that is suggested by the platform or start afresh. They can do that. And these tools are linked. So there's a design library, there's a very high fidelity 3D visualization tool, a 2D planning tool, a 3D rendering tool. All of these exist in the platform. Customers actually see a simple proposal and would convert by paying us an initial booking amount on the platform. And that's when the journey starts, right? After that, the designer actually owns the process all the way till the purchase orders are placed in our system, right? In that process, the designer will actually create a final proposal, the drawings, make sure that they can generate a request for the layout process to be completed, the final validation to be done. And when that triangulation is done and everything is complete, the customer pays us an additional 40% and we place the purchase orders. Look, for all practical purposes, after that, the company works on the cloud ERP, which we've coded, and the cloud ERP facilitates a very standard e-commerce-like behavior. If it is a full-service turnkey interiors, the purchase orders will likely go to a contractor and a contract manufacturer for the fitted furniture, potentially some participating furniture and decoration brands on the marketplace. If it is a simplistic kitchen and wardrobe installation, in that case, we will be working with one of our contracting manufacturing partners. And the backend of our system gets invoked for each of these participating vendor entities. They will ship things to our warehouse where it is housed against an order ID. When the site is ready, we actually ship it to the site. And depending upon the categories that invoke, so if it is a kitchen and wardrobe category, there will be an assembler who will obviously bring all of these things on site. Now, the meaningful thing is that, especially on the fitted furniture, the kitchen and wardrobe segment, Neo platform effectively links, as I said, design to the manufacturing, to forward supply chain, to installation, to reversible supply chain, all and the raw material provider. All of this thing is actually integrated on the platform. So the CNC machines are actually pre-coded to receive order level information from us. Our platform actually talks to the raw material suppliers, right? They will ship materials over to the contract manufacturer in question, and they are pre-barcoded. These barcoded tends to be dynamic in nature. So when they're dynamic in nature, they will change as they go across the process. So imagine the speed, the reduction of wastage, higher utilization, and so forth and so on. Even the packages are pre-coded such that the right plank goes into the right box. The right box reaches the right location. Once when it reaches the right location, the assemblers don't have to look for offline information. The drawings and the installation processes is generated by me. So all they need to do is to look and match and pick the box and install, and they're actually ready to do that. So everything is actually happening all on the platform. Really. That's pretty much how the overall experience happens. You actually already know more than my investors. So, yeah.
So who are these designers? Are they part of the Livspace team, or are they professional designers who can plug into your system?
Yeah. So we operate on both the models. So there are designers who actually work with us on, sort of a salaried model as well. And many hundreds and over 1,000 designers actually also work with us as a design partner, or as a studio partner, right? So there are 2 or 3 models wherein they range from an entrepreneur sort of coming on board and creating a small studio that they own effectively. And they actually work as a business partner as opposed to an employee, ranging all the way from this to an experience wherein they actually tends to be, working with us as well. So both the models actually exist in the system. I think one more piece of information would be relevant. So given the fact that we're actually aggressively launching, private labels in the kitchen and wardrobe solution segment, I think 2 things are crucial. We're obviously, our plans are actually to go to about 45 to 50 cities, over time, over the next sort of 24 to 30 months. And we're looking at about sort of 100, store points. And this would mean anywhere from 50 to 100 large franchisee relationships. And these franchisees effectively are investors who invest in the store and who actually manage and upkeep the store. So we're looking for them. I kid you not, we're looking for at least 800 to 1,000 designers. So anything, Deepak sir, we can do here to help us with both of those 2 causes will be extremely meaningful. Of course, it by definition means more and more contract manufacturing partners. We are in the development of the private labels. I can sort of tell you that we're already working with a very large business house to, for example, create stainless steel kitchens, as well as a private label range. We're looking at multiple price points, boutique kitchens, etc., etc. So there are multiple things sort of that are happening within the context of the broader Neo platform that is very, very meaningful for the ecosystem. Right?
So in a way, you are disrupting the design practice also.
Actually, I wouldn't call it disrupting. Sometimes it's an often misunderstood word, but it's more like the challenge with the design industry was also that with everybody's best intention, there was instability of income, right, and instability of margin. And I think by participating with us on the platform, like any other e-commerce managed marketplaces, our design partners get regular demand, right? Obviously, we pay on time, right? There is no loss of margin, and for most people over a period of time, we've actually seen that over time, 6 to 9 months, people tend to become, dedicated partner. And we've generally seen that people end up making anywhere from, 60 to 70, 80% more stabilized income, before they were making. So I think we are in a way converting the freelance industry into a freelance managed, but a very tightly partnered kind of a model.
The reason I said disrupting is because the way I see it, you are templatizing design.
हाँ कह सकते हैं.
And
Where needed, Deepak sir, where needed. That it's a crucial point, right? So the platform actually is agnostic to the design choices, right? So the platform actually always offers the customer and the designer a chance to say, hey, I don't like any of your suggestion. I will operate in the way that I want to operate in, and this is what I like. And that's why actually selection for us is very, very crucial, which is why Livspace's platforms and platform-based approach can actually solve multiple price points, multiple design, type problems. If I go with a very narrow range, it'll never solve that problem, right? Because then I'm actually a vertical private label, and I'm good for that specific one thing alone, right? So in a way, the way we've built it, we, RK and I, Saurabh, all of us, we are very agnostic. Because look, I don't think we're the first ones to claim any knowledge of the design industry, right? But we actually understand the internet, and the internet likes choice, right? So we're saying, can we create the selection, but can we create tools and allow people to express those preferences easily and for designers to make them? But I can also tell you that a lot of people actually really like the design choices that we have for them, right? So many people actually would rather say, hey, this kind of sort of works for me. And then they will actually modify it to their requirements because, hey, it's actually really nice, right? So
what is the caliber of these designers that who work with you?
most of them, I would say, tends to be in the sort of 3 to 8, years worth of work experience. They probably hold a degree in design or product design or interior design. They would have attended that. There are many colleges, of course, all over India, here in Singapore as well. And some have a diploma, others have, sort of a degree in designing as well. And typically tends to operate in two realms. There are folks who've actually done sort of full service interior design. So actually, in addition to furniture and decoration arrangement, modular furniture understanding, they also understand general contracting. So they actually have worked in the past with general contractors and have actually renovated homes as well. That's one class. And a lot of the people that we actually have on our full service, full home design business unit come with that experience. A lot of people who actually provide the kitchen and wardrobe sort of experience have largely spent a lot of their last years in the modular furniture industry. Right? So again, very similarly, we look for people who have at least been part of, 10 to 15 customer experiences, successful customer experiences. When we select them, we normally want 1 to 2 references from customers because it's, we are assuring the customer that we will, give them the best possible designer. But today, I can tell you that so we're of course in market to onboard 1,000 more designers into our system. So the more is merrier. But from a scale perspective, Livspace thus far has received about, in the history of the company, about 50 to 60,000 designer applications. Right? So it is and we roughly sort of work with, maybe 1 out of 10, to be able to participate in the managed marketplace experience that we've created. So this is a very trusted, friendly system, that has been created over the last 4 to 5 years.
do you envisage the emergence of the concept of signature design uh,
Great question.
by professional designers?
Fantastic question. And so so what we are doing, Deepak sir, is like हमारा पहला experience था. We've said our platform Neo actually offers us a lot of capabilities to launch a kitchen and wardrobe offering, multiple private labels. There is about, and it's Singapore probably about 10% market, maybe more, 15% market. Bombay, Gurgaon, a little bit of Bangalore, maybe 5 to 7, 8% segment. These are people from interesting demographics who actually understand, have very specific design sensibilities, and we have I kid you not, we have experimented in some capacity with this thing, and largely I think the big choice for us about 2.5 years ago was, should we actually get into general contracting, right? And we got it and we scaled it out, and um, I think today, besides Larsen and Toubro, I think Livspace is the largest general contractor in the country. And I was kind of trying to measure it. And so it's a very large general contracting sort of practice that we've created now. Very similar to what we did in the kitchen and wardrobe segment. We've actually defined general contracting as an e-commerce category, which actually means there is a definition for material, there's a definition for the various labors that are included, there's a definition for the operating procedure. We've slapped a visualization experience on this. So you can pretty much buy false ceiling on our system, which is on top of you. Actually, I can see a false ceiling. You can pretty much exactly buy that like an e-commerce SKU. That's the innovation, right? So now because you can do all of that, and it took us time to codify all of these various general contracting categories, we are thinking that we are now ready to actually potentially experiment with maybe 1 to 2 signature campaigns. We're exploring markets. Singapore is amazing. Bombay, obviously, Gurgaon are very credible markets wherein there is a meaningful segment that actually is interested in those kind of things. I kid you not, over the last few years, we've been steadily approached by, very well-known designers in the industry to be able to do something. And I think we wanted to make sure that the core was set well before we actually get into that. But yeah, we should hopefully see a couple of things coming out in the future.
So if we were to talk about your footprint in the Indian market, particularly, you are already operating in, I think, about nine big cities.
Actually, थोड़ी सी ज़्यादा हो गई by March, roughly about 15, क्योंकि I think we've already concluded that our sort of modular furniture business unit powered by Neo should essentially expand to anywhere from 40, 45 to 50 cities. We today, I think, if I remember accurately, and I think Saurav would be the best person, we've actually already launched we're piloting, I think that's the right word, in Ahmedabad, Kochi. We are looking to get to Gurgaon, Lucknow, Hyderabad, Pune, Coimbatore, Mangalore, Vizag, Indore, Surat in a very short period of time, right? So the company will already be in 15 cities by March, roughly about 17 to 20 company-owned and franchise design experience centers, some of which will obviously be dedicated kitchen and wardrobe. Others can actually provide the full service experience.
So can we talk a bit more about your the profile of your channel partners?
Correct.
That you plan to tie up with in these cities.
Correct.
So what could be the scope of their business? What investments are they required to make?
Correct. And I can talk to you a little bit about their profile. I mean, most people have had some degree of experience. Obviously, some are known to us as well because of prior relationships. Through contract manufacturing and contracting relationships that we may have had in the past. So it's a very logical extension. So that's obviously one source of recommendations. People know about Livspace, so there's a significant traffic of inbound interest. The other profile that we are very interested in, people who generally understand the sort of the building construction, home improvement, as you said, turnkey material type industries. Many people actually have families that have some businesses or franchise-oriented distributionship for this kind of industry. We are sort of looking for people in from that range. Obviously, people who come from our traditional sector, which is the modular furniture, contract manufacturing, contracting, workshop. Obviously, we love them, right? That's a straight up fit. But I'm sort of giving you a broad expanse. But generally, we've seen that people from this class of segment tends to actually be a very high fit for us. These franchisee partners typically invest in anywhere from 13 to 1500 square feet, maybe 1800 square feet sort of store, which is Livspace branded, and this could be in the range of $75,000 to $95,000, still sort of sub $100,000. And the majority of our expansion plans are linked to the expansion of our franchisee, base in India. So it's a meaningful plan for us as a company. I kid you not, we're investing anywhere from about 175 to 225 crores in just establishing the largest modular business in India in a very quick period of time. So we're looking for a lot of these, folks. It's, we share anywhere from 5 to 6% of the monthly confirmed modular orders that are placed in our system with these partners. Right? So fairly attractive, kind of an ROI and high IRR. And sort of we've seen that basis sort of early calculations. The payback period is anywhere from 18 to 24 months. So a very attractive sort of proposition for franchisee partners who are interested in partnering with us.
No, this 5%, what was that? I'm not.
So this would be Deepak sir. So I'll explain the model again. So they are responsible for investing in the fit out for that store and the general upkeep for the store. In lieu of the investment that they're making in that, what we do is on a monthly basis, we share 5 to 6% of the total business that got placed in our systems in a month from that store. Right. So let's say I'm sorry?
That would be the business that happens when a customer walks into the store.
It could be walked in. It could be digital leads that get generated. Right. So Livspace is actually sort of course, we are doing three things. So we are aggressively investing in, of course, brand building efforts because that helps with walk-ins and so forth and so on. That's one. So there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen over the next 18 months on that. The second thing that I think we understand exceedingly well is our ability to generate digital leads at, my goodness, crazy pace. So, and we've seen that and the cities that I actually named, Deepak, so you'd be surprised at how much pent-up demand exists in these cities. So the question to actually grope is, is there a buyer like the buyer in Bangalore, I'm from Kanpur, so it's my favorite example, right? So is there a buyer like the buyer who exists in Bangalore in Lucknow? And the answer is yes. That same person actually doesn't have any access to good quality product and services, right? So this person is actually consuming all the information that anybody else is consuming on the internet. So when we start in a city, that's the demographic that you're really trying to go after, right? So it's exciting that through digital efforts that we are doing, but in addition to that, we will significantly invest over the next 18 months on conventional brand marketing, sort of mass media type efforts to make sure that through a combination of walk-ins as well as digital leads, we're able to provide the meaningful business to our franchise partners.
What would be the scope of your franchise partner? What all would he have to do? Or
so that's a good question. So the franchise, so the model consists of two people. So there's the franchise partner. The franchise partner effectively invests in the fit out of that specific store. The partner invests in sort of general upkeep, making sure that the store is obviously operable. The company owns, quote unquote, and manages the operation. The operation is provided by, we call them a livepreneur. So it's a Livspace entrepreneur, effectively a design entrepreneur in any of these kind of cities. And each entrepreneurial studio consists of about 4 to 5 people. And it's headed by, a design partner, to sort of use that language. And the design partner, much like the franchisee entrepreneur at an order level, gets a chunk of the overall order that gets placed in the system, which they can use to manage their employee base, obviously, because they'll have 4 to 5 people. They can use it, in the promotional format, such that they can manage customer conversions, and they can use that to actually buy promotional points from us as well, buy more leads should they want to, and so forth and so on. So think of this being a 1+1 kind of a structure, wherein there is the franchisee who's investing in the infrastructure, the company who's actually selecting this design entrepreneur at the studio level and managing this entire operation, and paying 5 to 6% of every order that gets booked and every order that gets placed in our system with the franchisee, and giving a portion of that overall to the design entrepreneur. Right? So what we're doing is we're inviting participation from both franchisees as well as design entrepreneurs from each of these classes.
And is the franchisee involved in the installation or not?
Not yet. So today, today think of it as a franchise owned, quote unquote, invested. company operated. So we select the design professional who's a partner, but today the fulfillment and the assembly is actually done by Livspace. It's not that we are opposed to that. I think we are starting with that, but we are actually looking at very interesting models. I think there are cities that can actually lend themselves really well to a franchise-owned, franchise-operated model as well. And we will very quickly get to that. My guess is that sometime towards the second half of next year, we will probably pick up a couple markets first to experiment with this thing. It could very well be a smaller city attached to a larger city. It could very well be that we actually choose to partner with one of our existing franchisees and actually give to that city. And you want to scale it before you actually let go. But really the vision is that most of our business one day should actually migrate to a franchise-owned, franchise-operated kind of setting. Right? So, and we really invest a lot in technology, brand building, demand generation, sort of the OEM portion of this business.
What is the composition of your revenues or your turnovers in terms of product categories?
Roughly 70 to 75% is product. That range, and about 25 to 30% is, I mean, it could be slightly higher in a Bombay, where in general contracting is obviously higher. But in general, at a blended level, I'd say about 70 to 72% is all largely products. About 28 to 30% would be general contracting services.
And within the products, what kinds of products?
So of the 70, at an absolute level, roughly about, I'd say 55 to 60 would be, kitchens, wardrobes, units that we install in people's home as part of the full home design offering. And anywhere from 10 to 15%, Deepak sir, would be furniture decoration. So movable furniture, wallpaper, decorative lamps, and so forth and so on. Curtains is a good category as well. False ceiling for us is a general contracting category. But any fitted furniture, any fitted experience above and beyond, or a site-related experience above and beyond the kitchen, all for us falls into our general contracting services. And general contracting as well, we actually largely provide using two models. We work with some extremely high quality general contractors across the metros in India. Our full home design experience, which actually includes general contracting, today is limited just to the 6 metros in India. Right? And I think we'll intend to keep it like that for some time, while we actually use the modular furniture experience, the private labels that we're launching, as the way to expand across most of the rest of India. But we do provide in-house contracting services as well.
What is the range of your ticket size?
The range today actually could be from anywhere from 1.8 lakhs all the way to 25, 30 lakhs. But I'll tell you the median, the torso. The torso for our kitchen and wardrobe private label business would be between, I'd say 3.5 to about 6 to 7, in that range. I would say 3.5 to 7. That's the classic sort of fit out, kind of an experience. And anything for full home design, probably the classic is like about 8 to 15, depending upon 2-bedroom to 3-bedroom. But I'd say the bulk of our business really comes from there. And average order value is a little bit of a weird one because we're a very large business now. So it tends to be all over. But I'd say that a good quality private label kitchen and wardrobe fit out experience, 4 to 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, that is the price range. We really want to make it like the, sort of a very good quality. I mean, I'm sort of using an American example, I'm sorry, but probably like the Honda of the industry. Maybe it's positioned differently in India, but the last time I bought a car, I used to live in America, right? So it's a Honda, like it's a great quality, very high quality service experience, after sales assurance and so forth and so on. But for the customer who actually wants to invest in design savviness, that experience is also ready. For that, I would say a classic experience is about 10 to 12 lakhs.
And what are the timelines for project completions?
So the timelines for project completions, ultimately from the time that the customer places an order in our system, right? That's the time when we actually start taking an SLA. At the blended level, about 3 months from the time the order is placed. For kitchens and wardrobes tends to be very, very tight. We can actually do it in a matter of 5 to 6 weeks, right? So we are as good as anybody else's sort of supply chain. In fact, we can take in sort of for a simplistic kitchen and wardrobe order, once when the order is placed in the system, we actually take an SLA of 45 days. For our full home service design, it could range anywhere from 11 to 12 weeks after the order is placed, all the way to a very significant remodel could last maybe 16 to 18 weeks.
You had mentioned that you are onboarding large numbers of partners, including OEMs and contract manufacturers,
right,
besides designers, of course. So in which categories are you seeking these OEMs and contract manufacturers?
So the and again, in this would be in the sort of the modular furniture category, right? Because as I said, our vision is not to sort of be a narrow selection and sort of do one private label. I think we continue to lean in favor of our platform strategy. So Livspace ultimately will, as I see, um, I think we will create multiple private labels, and each of them servicing different needs. We are already in working very closely with a large business house to, as I said, create like stainless steel kitchens, which for us is a different private label. It includes a different operating procedure and whatnot. But there are two or three vectors that we are sort of thinking about, which will help us answer your question. So multiple price points. So express kitchens, things that can happen in 3 weeks. That's interesting. Stainless steel, which is a material choice. The other thing which is very, very interesting is Flexi module kitchens, right? So as we learn, especially Western India, Southeast Asia, Flexi module kitchens, because people don't want to demolish their countertop. People may actually have a vertical partition in an old kitchen. So remodeling of kitchen remodeling is a very large market segment, and we really want to go after that. Now, I kid you not, किसी ने भी हमारे जितने ब्यूटी से फ्लेक्सी मॉडल किसी को समझा ही नहीं, राइट? हम क्यों कर सकते हैं? क्योंकि हम इसको डिफाइन ही ऐसे करते हैं, राइट? सो वी कैन एक्चुअली मैनेज द हाइट ब्रेथ, बिकॉज अपन तो मॉड्यूल डिजाइन कर रहे हैं, वही वो हमारा ई कॉमर्स यूनिट है. तो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज वी कैन अलाउ दीज काइंड ऑफ फ्लेक्सी चॉइसेस व्हेन द ऑर्डर इज बीइंग प्लेस्ड इन द सिस्टम. पीछे जो हमारा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मैन्युफैक्चरिंग एंड वो तो वैसे ही चल रहा है, उसे क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? सो we are and we're very lucky to actually be partnering closely with Hitich on this, which is a beautiful relationship. Goel sir honge, I'm sure, on the call and not, hi to you. But it's a great partnership that we've actually built. And I think Flexi module for us is a very big disruptor, I kid you not. Nobody's been able to do it really well. We are actually aggressively investing in that area. So Western India could be a big taker. Older kitchen requirements remodeling in rest of India. And I kid you not, very largely Singapore is actually mostly Flexi module. So ऐसे ही है. वो बनाएंगे कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, पूरा कॉन्ट्रैक्टर, पूरा फुल कॉन्ट्रैक्टर वर्कशॉप ड्रिवन मार्केट है. तो ऑन साइट फैब्रिकेशन बहुत होता है क्योंकि छोटी छोटी वर्कशॉप्स हैं. तो जैसे बॉम्बे चलता था, एंड द टाइम्स दैट आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट, वो एग्जैक्टली वैसे ही चलता है ये वाली. तो यहाँ पे भी क्या है कि द मार्केट इज क्राइंग लाउड फॉर एन ऑर्गेनाइज्ड प्लेयर टू कम एंड एक्चुअली टेक द मार्केट अवे. और मलेशिया में पूरी कैपेबिलिटी है. So we are looking. So now this actually provides us a very good platform to actually create interesting private labels with OEMs and established brands. Obviously, our technology is completely built out, so I'd love to invite participation on that. And obviously, all of these ranges will lead to a significant expansion. The unorganized to organized movement is very large, so we do feel the need for having meaningfully deep relationships on the contract manufacturing side, such that we have the capacity, वो होना चाहिए important, and the capability to provide the value proposition to the customer.
How has the business grown since you started and in the last few years?
So we grew by about 500%, and this is like pre-COVID numbers. We grew 500% in about 24 months. So it's grown very well, right? That's one. I can give you a sort of a sense of sort of scale. We're looking to touch somewhere close to about $250 million worth of goods and services that are transacted through the system, sometimes by the end of the financial year, right? And on a scale basis, we are actually already close to where we were before COVID. So the business is doing exceedingly well. I think the third thing, which is often not talked so much about, I think internet first experiences, is the way we've actually built our business. So we are actually exhibiting now a significant amount of profitability, indications as well. It's a high margin experience. It's not hidden from anybody. And we're excited that in the way we're building the company, while we're actually growing, at a fairly healthy pace, there's a significant amount of unit economics that's actually coming into the business as well. And wherever we will have to invest, we'll actually go ahead and aggressively invest. We're putting in $30 million in the kitchen and wardrobe unit. Saurabh will be the head of that specific business unit. So we're very excited to put in our best behind the business. But I think we're not losing focus on growing, very aggressively, and Singapore will continue to outpace. वो भी 100% पे grow करता रहेगा 2-3 साल. So there is a lot to be captured in, and I think we are aspiring to be the first, I hope one day, $1 billion GMV home improvement platform at some point in time with multiple markets that we actually address with the platform.
Wonderful. With such huge scopes for growth and such a large vision that you have, and being a global player, disruptor in so many markets, and also being in the design industry where so much of creativity is required. Your customers are design focused, your business partners are designers, so you too have to be designers in the actual sense. So you need to build an organization that is truly vibrant.
Absolutely.
And not thinks of itself as a technology company, but as probably as a design company or a set of design.
Okay.
So what kind of values define your company?
Yeah, that's an excellent question.
And your leadership also.
That's such an excellent question, actually, and I'm glad that not too many people ask me this question, right? So it's a very personal question. I think, sabse pehle, I think we put the customer at the center. Customer for us could mean our vendor partners. They're also our customers. They're on the platform. Our design partners, franchisee partners, obviously the consumer, and we are in our company, Deepak sir, we are all product managers first. A good quality product manager will always understand the problem of his or her customer at the nth level. Sari ki sari solve kare na kare, samajh usko aati hai, right? So there's a lot of emphasis that is placed in the company in understanding the first principle oriented problem for our customer, and then creating sort of great experiences that scale like really well. So first and foremost, I think what is unique about the company is very logical first principle problem, no ego, kind of problem solving. And I think that helps us, and why I say that the first is because you can meet many people from a company who ek dikhega aapko 4-5 logon mein ki there's generally no ego. Generally people are actually okay to learn. You can call bluff on us at any point in time, we'll accept it, if there's an opportunity for us to learn. So I think that's number one for us. Secondarily, we genuinely believe that technology, and I'm not saying technology from the sense of code that we write, technology from the sense of managed marketplace is a new concept, three-way marketplace is a new concept. The ability to actually create use content to actually inspire people is a new concept. Each of these are elements of technology, and I think we genuinely believe that technology actually has a transformative potential, right? Or design, from that perspective, we actually tend to think of design as a technological element, right? Which is, can you actually, and we are not the best possible designers, I would never claim to be that, but I think we actually understand the needs of a lot of those kind of designers. So things that we're actually doing within the platform or within the company. And by the way, we actually are a very large employers of product designers as well, right? So it's not that we don't understand or do product designing. Saurav's team has and does a lot of great work but a lot of that work is Deepak sir oriented towards helping people, right? As opposed to launching our own products, we do less of that. But our effort is to make sure that we are continuously investing back in the marketplace and participants, such that they can actually hopefully do their jobs extremely well. I think the one thing that you were talking about will be areas that we invest in. Design as an understanding and as a sensibility also is a privilege of the few, right? People who are experienced. I think today those clients have actually started coming to us, right? So today there is a need in the market, definitely in a few markets, wherein customers are actually asking us to invest a significant amount of effort in architecting a design-first experience. So I hear you absolutely that in addition to doing all of these other cool things that we are doing, we now have to start thinking in terms of scaling design. Yeah, it's a complex problem. So there are efforts that are on in the company, but let me assure you that a lot of that will be done by us while putting technological principles first, right? So that's our DNA, right? So
what else is happening at Livspace so that leadership, the development of leaders is ongoing? So you have a pipeline of leaders in whichever function that you grow, and even in the scenario of when you are not managing the company.
नहीं, मैं तो कुछ भी नहीं करता हूँ, मुझे तो कोई क्रेडिट लेने का हक भी नहीं है, right?
So वहाँ पे what's happening there? Investing in new leadership.
So दो principles, Deepak sir, बहुत important है, and I think this is not just Livspace. This is a lot of this thing actually, RK, Saurabh, of course, has been with us from such a long, he's almost one of our co-founders. A lot of us come from the school of thought कि सबसे पहले अपने को फायर करो किसी भी जॉब से, right? So आपको सबसे पहले अपने को फायर करने से पहले भैया ऐसा तो है नहीं कि रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी छोड़ दोगे. So but it is very easy to say, but it's very hard to do because आपका अटैचमेंट हो जाता है, इमोशंस हो जाते हैं, ये वो. So आप अपने आप को तब तक नहीं फायर कर सकते हो जब तक आप किसी एक को ना डेवलप कर दो जो कि आपसे ज्यादा अच्छे ढंग से काम कर रहा है. बहुत लॉजिकल सी बात है नहीं. तो गूगल, मिंत्रा, फ्लिपकार्ट, ये सब ऐसे ही चलते हैं. So generally, we are very trained to firstly find people who are better than us. Like Saurabh actually does his job better than I can remotely do. Everything that I talk today, I kid you not, everything he's taught me, right? Everything he's built. So I'm just like narrating and commenting. Now, we were lucky and fortunate that we found people like him, Gopalji, and the many other great people that actually have worked with us. And so we invest in people that actually are masters of their craft and their talent, and let them do and get out of the way, right? So it's very, very, very crucial, and I'm saying it with a lot of passion and emotion because ऐसे ही चलती हैं अच्छी कंपनियां, बड़ी ऐसे ही बनती हैं. So now see, if I am able to do that with all of these people, they, I kid you not, will do it with their teams. वो बोलते हैं ना और दूसरा इसका एक तो ये टेनेट होता है, फायर योरसेल्फ. दूसरा ये होता है कि A people find A people. In fact, A people find A plus people. B people find C people. Because B लोगों को अपना बचाना होता है ना, tough. So we hopefully we like to find A plus people. We crave A plus people. The minute we find A plus people, we are actually more than happy to fire ourselves and get out of the way, and then go do other things that are interesting for us. So ऐसे चलती है Livspace. दिन ब दिन ऐसे ही चलती है. काफी लड़ाई झगड़ा भी होता है, but all in good banter.
Wonderful. I have known Gopalji for quite some time.
Yeah.
And he's an author in the making.
Ji, yeah.
He's released his book.
Correct. Yeah.
I was quite impressed by his, focus on that book and bringing all that content together.
Yeah.
So you're right. This is how good companies progress and sustain in the long run.
Yep.
Well, Anuj, this has been quite an exhausting and comprehensive talk.
No, it's been amazing. Thank you for being so. You're very insightful. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure that our listeners who are watching today and who will get to watch this video later on, and also read the article that we'll be writing on the basis of this conversation, I'm sure they'll be able to take a number of learnings and insights from your book and apply to their own business.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we said, we are inviting participations across the board. So please feel free to reach out to all our channels, and we'll accordingly react.
I'll just see if we have any question. If you have time, we can just.
Yeah, I'm actually all good. We can talk.
So one of our viewers wants to connect with you offline for business proposition.
Sure.
And, he's requesting for your contact details where he can write to you.
Yep. Yeah. Can I type it here? It's
okay.
Easy. I'll just type it here. Here, anuj@livspace.com.
Thank you. And another of our viewers, Chandan Lakshman, is saying how last mile and return logistics are integrated into Neo.
Yeah. So so think of that exactly as any other e-commerce entity, right? So our last mile efforts, the only difference is that there is some site assembly work required. But for all practical purposes, stuff when it gets from QC out from a contract manufacturer, for example, gets all aggregated in a warehouse system. So I hope I get it right. So all the binning, sorting, and picking, I think those are the three things that happen. These are all coded in the warehouse management module of Neo, right? So these are also done. They will work for us. They will work for you, sir, as well, with the same. But this is all classic e-commerce-like principles. Now, once when the order is ready to be shipped, the instruction charts that actually come from within Neo, all the warehouse professionals do is pick it up, ship out in outbound logistics. We work with third-party transporters to a customer's home once when we actually get the update from Neo that the customer site is ready, so we can ship it right now. The design drawings, the installing instructions are all auto-generated within the platform, right? So what you do is that you get a bunch of boxes, of course, on the site, and the installers, who are largely third-party partners for us, they will actually get an intimation of the overall instructions. So all they need to do is to match what they see in that with the box numbers. And I think from what Saurabh told me, I think the sink is the hero unit. No? That's where you start up from in the world of kitchen and wardrobe. देखिए सर क्या क्या आ गया मुझे अभी. So from Google Maps to knowing things about kitchen. So all of that instructions are actually already laid out and available in the assembly instructions that are provided, and that's how it happens. If a panel actually gets if a panel gets damaged, or if it is wrongly shipped, then we actually have RRR, return locations in various cities, and the faulty panel doesn't necessarily have to go back to the original site in the interest of minimizing logistical costs. So it may actually be shipped to a partner nearby and that's actually set up correctly, and the forward supply chain actually is invoked again. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think that's a 2 to 3 weeks SLA. So we can still make sure that during the overall installation period, we can still ship back everything and make sure that the correct installation happens on site.
We have a question from Srinivas Valuri.
Sure.
The owner of based in Hyderabad.
Correct.
And in fact, he was also the winner of the India Kitchen Congress.
Yeah, actually. Nice to meet you, sir, again. Yeah, I remember that.
And he wants to know a bit more about your private label program.
Correct.
So perhaps he could write to you if that's going to...
Actually, might be, sir, a best way to just drop me an email, anuj@livspace.com, and I'll make sure that it gets addressed appropriately.
We have a question which I think is being thrown to an engineer, an IIT in particular. Can interior designers be replaced by artificial intelligence?
So not at the, it's a good question, and so many people ask when we debate this thing and all that. See, the only two things that AI can essentially solve: discovery and inspiration at scale, right? And AI is actually often used for suggestion. I really don't think that there will be a day wherein, besides the DIY experience in America, which is a dying segment, it's a fast dying segment, right? Mm-hmm. It's a baby boomer generation sort of this thing. Most of the generation today in the 30s and 40s, want you to do stuff for them as opposed to them wanting to do it themselves. So clearly the need for DIY is dying, not today, over a period of time. It'll continue to sort of be a meaningful segment. But what people are definitely looking for are inspiration, discovery, consideration set building, just using basic marketing language, right? So for each of these three processes, the ability for us to actually provide massive quality content, each of which is linked to a catalog, AI can actually solve that really well, right? So creation of pictures is a hard problem to crack because we've done it. We've got, I don't know, tens of thousands of pictures now. And I'm telling you, it has taken a lot of effort. So if there is a technology which can actually create meaningfully relevant pictures out of that catalog at the speed of light, that's a unicorn already, right? So that's one problem that AI can actually solve. The other problem that AI can solve is, as I suggested, the suggestions and recommendations to designers who are actually helping, So it's like if designers actually you're shortening their time for selection, then you're actually solving both the problems. Customer can select and get inspired, design. But I think we can only create tools, because there is something about the industry which is omni-channel, it's touch and feel, it's experiential. Like I feel happy when I have my house looks great, right? It's my sanctuary. So I don't really think that besides the 5% people who can actually do these things themselves, I think the vast majority of the industry will continue to have some layer of physical interaction, but AI can probably take care of the parts that I talked about, right? Some great entrepreneur will actually go do meaningful things there, right? So,
are you present in Kolkata?
Yes, we are piloting Calcutta as well.
You're already there?
Yes.
Okay. And are you planning to get into commercial?
Great question. That's a great question again. I mean, of course, firstly, we have to understand how the commercial fit-out segment will behave after COVID, because everybody's leaving offices. So we'll have to sort of be aware of that. But I think as markets settle down, what we've talked about, Deepak sir, is that the small and medium business segment, which is 5,000, maybe 5,000 square feet to 20,000 square feet, this where knowledge workers, startups, knowledge, professional services, ye wale log na, they can't go to JLLs and Cushmans of the world. These people, again, 99% time go to contractors. What we've created very logically can solve the problem. I can also tell you that we've actually done maybe 3, 4, 500 offices in the history of the company just to see if we can actually logically do it. The answer is yes, we can do it. Will we launch a formal brand extension any point in time in the next 12 to 18 months? I highly doubt it. I think we'll probably continue to explore the opportunity, but especially at this point in time, even if we were, I think we would have put it out at least by another year. But at some point in time, whether it's an M&A opportunity or it's a capability that we want to sort of get into, I think it's an interesting market. But I wouldn't say that we actually completely have nailed it as yet.
And if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Sure. Somebody else should. I mean, our segment is so large, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, and sometimes I think focus is our biggest opportunity. Yeah, all of us. Like, I mean, we
Should be focused. You can't.
Yeah. And I think
Winner on the other side.
and I think our full home design segment exceedingly large. We are by far on just basis of that, we are the largest in the industry. I think the kitchen and wardrobe business unit, we are very excited about that. Just Asia market alone, I think it's about $35 to $40 billion of kitchens that get remodeled in a year. Usko hi theek se kar lo. So, yeah.
So there are a number of other micro questions which I would request our viewers, if it's okay with you, to write to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to,
So your email is already there. So viewers, please, if you have any specific questions regarding ROIs and investments and the like, please write to Anuj and he'll be happy to respond. Well, with that, I think we have actually short time. We've gone well past 1 hour. And once again, I'd like to thank you for joining us, Anuj, and wish you all the best in your ventures and in your personal life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Deepak sir. Thank you for having me over. Thanks everybody for attending, and we'll stay in touch. आपसे तो बात होगी और.
Oh, nice. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Take care, guys. Bye bye. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.